Rome did not fall in a single battle. It collapsed slowly, quietly, under the weight of its own arrogance, while something leaner, faster, and hungrier rose from the dirt to take its place. The American deer rifle market just had its Rome moment. For decades, hunters were told the same lie, that elite precision, weatherproof durability, and modular ergonomics were locked behind a $2,000 gun, that the only path to a sub-minute of angle rifle was a European import with a name you could barely pronounce and a price tag that made your wallet bleed. That was the gospel. That was the law. And in 2026, 5 American bolt guns just nailed that gospel to the door and set the whole church on fire. The .308 Winchester, short action efficient, lethal past 400 yards and generating a manageable 17 foot-pounds of free recoil, remains the undisputed sovereign of North American deer hunting. And the rifles chambered in it right now are the most dangerous value propositions this industry has ever produced. These are not budget rifles that shoot like budget rifles. These are precision instruments that happen to cost less than your last truck repair bill. This is the 5308 Deer Rifles of 2026 that just put everyone else in serious trouble. Number 5. The Stevens 334. There is something deeply honest about a rifle built from walnut and steel. While the rest of the industry races toward polymer chassis and ceramic coatings, the Stevens 334 arrives like a letter from 1964. Hand-checkered Turkish walnut stock, oil-rubbed finish, and a matte-blued carbon steel barrel that smells like the inside of a real gun shop. Imported by Savage Arms and manufactured in Turkey, this rifle is the last honest traditionalist in a market drowning in tactical aesthetics. And it costs $389 for the synthetic version, or $489 for the walnut, making it the most affordable door into the .308 Winchester on this entire list. The action runs a modern 3-lug bolt with a fast 60-degree lift, giving you superior scope clearance and rapid cycling that betrays its budget origins entirely. The 20-inch matte-blued barrel features an 11-degree target crown, and the stock conceals an aluminum bedding block with steel action screw sleeves. A precision engineering trick most hunters will never notice, but their groups absolutely will. In independent accuracy testing with 165-grain Norma, Oryx, and 150-grain Federal non-typical whitetail loads, the 334 averaged between 1.42 and 2.16 inches at 100 yards. That is ethical deer precision out to 300 yards, full stop. It also mirrors the Ruger Gen 2 with a 3-position toggle safety, a feature you genuinely do not expect at this price. The deal breaker is real and it is significant. The factory trigger is brutally heavy, requiring north of 7.5 pounds of pressure to break. That is not a trigger, that is a test of commitment. Plan on a trigger job or an aftermarket replacement before you take this rifle seriously beyond 300 yards. Street price, $389 to $489. Number 4, the Mossberg Patriot Carbine. Some rifles are built for the range. Some rifles are built for the trophy wall. The Mossberg Patriot Carbine was built for the dirt, for the pre-dawn darkness of a Louisiana swamp, for the shoulder-width shooting lanes of an Appalachian thicket, for the moment when a 240-pound whitetail materializes at 40 yards through fog so thick you could cut it with a knife. This is a rifle engineered around one singular doctrine. Get it up fast, get it on target faster, and do not let the environment kill it before the season ends. At 6.5 pounds, 2,950 grams of pure utilitarian intent, the Patriot Carbine is the lightest platform on this list. That weight advantage is not accidental. Mossberg paired a fluted bolt body with a top-mounted Picatinny rail and a suppressor-optimized threaded muzzle, understanding that the dense woodland hunter is not punching paper at 400 yards. He is tracking a wounded buck through a creek bottom at last light, and every ounce on his shoulder is a tax on his speed and stamina. The Strata Camo finish dissolves the rifle into early season hardwoods with unsettling effectiveness. The fluted bolt reduces friction and weight simultaneously, cycling with a mechanical snap that feels purpose-built for rapid follow-up shots from compromised positions. The .308 Winchester in a 6.5-pound platform generates a recoil impulse that demands respect, and the Patriot delivers it without apology. This is not a bench rest rifle. It was never meant to be. The deal breaker here is the stock, rigid, utilitarian injection molded polymer with zero modularity, zero length of pull adjustment, and a recoil pad that transmits the .308's 17 foot-pounds directly into your shoulder with the subtlety of a freight train. Larger framed hunters will adapt. Smaller frame shooters or youth hunters will feel every round. Street price, approximately $500 to $570. Number 3, the CVA Cascade XT. Every rifle on this list was built to perform. The CVA Cascade XT was built to perform when every other rifle on this list has already started to lie to you, because heat is the great deceiver of precision shooting. Fire 3 rounds through a standard sporter barrel and the steel begins to walk, expanding microscopically, shifting harmonics, pulling your point of impact a 1/4 inch left, then a 1/2 inch, then enough to turn a clean, ethical shot into a wounded animal disappearing into the timber. Connecticut Valley Arms understood this problem and solved it the way you solve any serious problem. You hire the best in the world. The Cascade XT is anchored by a 22-inch No. 5 taper-fluted barrel manufactured by Bergara, a Spanish precision house whose barrels live inside rifles that win long-range competitions measured in half miles. That heavier contour is not aesthetic vanity, it is thermal mass. It absorbs heat energy across a longer string of fire, maintaining point of impact consistency through your second shot, your third shot, and your fourth shot with a mechanical stubbornness that standard sporter barrels simply cannot replicate. The muzzle is threaded at 5/8 by 24 and arrives from the factory equipped with a radial muzzle brake that tames the .308's recoil impulse to a level that makes rapid target reacquisition genuinely effortless. The oversized tactical bolt knob provides maximum leverage for fast cycling even through heavy winter gloves at single-digit degrees in a Kansas wheat field. A subtle but critical advantage over nearly every competitor on this list is the inclusion of dual front swivel studs on the forend, allowing the hunter to run both a bipod and a carrying sling simultaneously without choosing between stability and mobility. The entire barreled action is sealed in Cerakote and bedded into a fiberglass reinforced synthetic stock finished in an olive drab green and black web pattern that looks purpose-built for the field. The deal breaker is purely financial. At $849 to $889, the Cascade XT demands a meaningful premium over the Ruger and Savage platforms below it. For hunters who shoot once a season from a fixed stand, that premium is difficult to justify. For hunters running multiple shots on driven hunts, open country spot and stalk, or extended prairie dog sessions where barrel temperature becomes a genuine variable, the Bergara barrel earns every dollar. Street price, $849 to $889. Number 2, the Savage Axis 2 Pro. There is a particular kind of engineering genius that does not announce itself with flashy aesthetics or aggressive marketing. It arrives quietly, solves a problem that has plagued an entire industry for decades, and then sits on a shelf at $426, waiting for someone smart enough to pick it up. That is the Savage Axis 2 Pro. And the problem it solved, the problem every other manufacturer on this list is still wrestling with, is the trigger. The factory trigger has been the original sin of the budget rifle market since the beginning. Heavy, gritty, unpredictable, a mechanical liability that transformed potentially accurate platforms into frustrating, flinch-inducing disappointments. Savage did not patch this problem. They engineered around it entirely with the AccuTrigger system, a revolutionary design that embeds a centralized safety blade directly into the trigger shoe itself, physically blocking the sear from releasing until the shooter's finger fully and deliberately depresses it. This mechanical failsafe does something no other budget trigger can do. It allows the pull weight to be safely adjusted by the end user down to 2.5 pounds without introducing the catastrophic drop fire risk that terrifies every other manufacturer into installing heavy lawyer-approved triggers. 2.5 pounds on a $426 rifle. That is a precision bench rest trigger weight on a platform that costs less than a decent set of hunting boots. And for hunters demanding even further refinement, the aftermarket responds with M-Carbo trigger spring kits, steel shims, over-travel screws, synthetic Teflon grease, and variable springs ranging from 1.5 pounds for bench rest work to 3.5 pounds for field hunting, with unlimited drop test rating that transform this budget hunting rig into a genuine precision instrument. The mechanical foundation supporting that trigger is equally serious. A 20-inch heavy sporter contour barrel, button rifled with a 1 in 10 twist and threaded 5/8 by 24, arrives coated in gunmetal bronze Cerakote alongside the action. Weather-sealed, corrosion-resistant, and ready for conditions that would destroy a blued steel rifle within a single wet season. The injection-molded woodland camo stock features ambidextrous palm swells and enhanced grip textures that maintain purchase in driving rain. A factory-mounted 0-minute of angle Picatinny optics rail is included, eliminating the need for a separate rail purchase. Weighing between 6.7 and 6.8 pounds, the Axe 2 Pro feeds from a detachable 4-round flush-fit magazine and delivers independent accuracy results that embarrass rifles costing 3 times its price. The deal breaker is the stock modularity, or the complete absence of it. There is no length of pull adjustment, no cheek piece swap, no internal weight kit. The stock is what it is, and if it does not fit your frame out of the box, your only option is an aftermarket replacement chassis. For hunters with non-standard builds or those running heavy suppressors, this rigidity becomes a genuine ergonomic limitation that the Ruger platform above it solves elegantly. Street price, $426 to $501. Number 1, the Ruger American Generation 2. Centuries ago, a Roman emperor named Diocletian looked at a crumbling empire and made a decision that changed history. He did not try to patch what was broken. He rebuilt the entire architecture from the foundation up. Ruger did the same thing with the American Generation 2. And when the dust settled, they had produced a $600 rifle that shoots 0.747 inches at 100 yards with factory ammunition. Read that sentence again. 0.747 inches, 5 shots, factory-bonded ammunition. A standard deviation of 16.3 feet per second across a string of fire that would make a custom precision builder nervous. That is not a lucky group. That is a mechanical promise delivered in cold steel and ceramic polymer, repeated, verified, and documented by independent evaluators who had every reason to be skeptical of a budget platform claiming sub-minute of angle performance. The architecture responsible for that promise begins with a CNC machined stainless steel one-piece bolt running a modern 3-lug design with a short 70-degree throw. That geometry is not arbitrary. It provides critical vertical clearance for large ocular bells on modern high-magnification optics, preventing the shooter's knuckle from contacting the scope tube during rapid cycling in high-stress field conditions. The full-diameter bolt body eliminates the chatter and lateral play endemic to budget actions, tracking through the receiver with a consistency that directly translates to repeatable headspace and reliable feeding. A Sacco-style extractor integrated into one of the locking lugs pairs with a stout plunger ejector to produce an extraction and ejection system that ran flawlessly through hundreds of rounds of exhaustive field testing in environments that had no mercy for mechanical weakness. Dual cocking ramps reduce bolt opening effort, resolving the stiff, grinding sensation that plagued earlier 3-lug designs and transforming the cycling stroke into something approaching a mid-tier action. The 3-position tang safety positioned directly behind the action for ambidextrous thumb manipulation is not merely a convenience feature. It is a backcountry survival tool. The middle position disconnects the trigger while leaving the bolt free to cycle for chamber checks and unloading. The rear position locks the bolt handle physically into the receiver, preventing stray brush, gear straps, or equipment snags from pulling it open during a hard mountain traverse through West Texas cedar or Appalachian laurel thickets. A catastrophic scenario that has cost hunters their opportunity, their ammunition, and occasionally their safety. The cold hammer-forged 20-inch spiral-fluted barrel represents the single greatest leap in manufacturing democratization this industry has witnessed. The hammer forging process compresses the steel matrix around a tungsten carbide mandrel, producing a microscopically smooth, work-hardened bore with rifling uniformity that once required a master barrel maker and 3 days of labor. Today, Ruger produces it at volume, applies a professional Cerakote ceramic polymer finish across the barrel, receiver, muzzle brake, and bolt handle, and ships to a dealer for $600. The modular power-bedded stock, anchored by integrated stainless steel V-blocks that positively locate the receiver upon torquing the action screws, delivers a completely free-floated barrel isolated from every sling tension, bipod pressure, and hand position variable that destroys accuracy in lesser platforms. Length of pull adjusts from 13.75 inches down to 12.0 inches via removable spacers. The cheek piece swaps to match modern 30mm and 34mm scope tube heights. An internal weight kit adds up to 1.6 pounds to the buttstock to counterbalance suppressors and shift the center of gravity rearward for a more natural offhand hold. The aggressive splatter finish over gunmetal gray, liberty blue, flat dark earth, or graphite black provides non-abrasive field traction that synthetic stocks costing twice as much struggle to replicate. The sole mechanical concession to its price point is the Marksman adjustable trigger, factory set at approximately 4.25 pounds with a minor amount of perceptible creep before the break, adjustable between 3 and 5 pounds via a 3 32nd-inch hex screw accessible only with the action removed from the stock. It is entirely serviceable for every hunting application this rifle will ever face. It is not a 2-pound precision bench rest trigger. For hunters who demand that last refinement, a Timney drop-in replacement resolves the issue permanently. The bolt stroke, while highly functional, lacks the frictionless glass-smooth glide of a $2,000 action. The detachable polymer magazine does not drop free on release. It requires a manual tug to extract. These are bench rest grievances. They are not field grievances. Because when you are standing in a frozen Kansas wheat field at first light, watching a mature mule deer buck work his way toward your position at 280 yards, a rifle that shoots 3/4 minute of angle with factory ammunition, weighs 6.25 pounds, shrugs off sleet without complaint, fits your frame with a turn of a hex screw, and costs you $619 at your local dealer does not have flaws. It has a price tag that makes everything else on this shelf look like a bad investment. Street price, $589 to $629. 5 rifles, 1 cartridge, and a market that will never be the same. The .308 Winchester has always been the great equalizer of North American hunting. Enough energy to drop a mature whitetail at 300 yards, enough efficiency to run flawlessly through a 16-inch barrel, enough versatility to transition from an eastern river bottom to a western basin country without asking you to change a single piece of equipment. What changed in 2026 is not the cartridge. What changed is the machinery behind it. Cold hammer forged bores that once lived exclusively inside custom precision rifles now ship inside $600 platforms from American factories. Cerakote finishes that once cost $400 as an aftermarket upgrade now arrive standard on rifles that cost less than a hunting license and 3 tanks of gas. Modular stocks with adjustable length of pull, swappable cheek pieces, and internal weight systems. Ergonomic luxuries that defined the semi-custom precision market for a decade now come standard on a rifle you can buy at your local sporting goods store on a Tuesday afternoon. The Stevens 334 proved that traditional walnut and steel still has a place in a polymer world. The Mossberg Patriot Carbine proved that 6.5 pounds of suppressor-ready carbine can dominate the tight cover environments where most American deer are actually taken. The CVA Cascade XT proved that a Bergara barrel answers questions about thermal stability that most hunters did not even know they were asking. The Savage Axis 2 Pro proved that a 2.5-pound factory trigger is not a luxury. It is an engineering choice, and Savage made it at $426. And the Ruger American Generation 2 proved something that the entire premium rifle industry spent 40 years insisting was impossible. That sub-minute of angle precision, absolute weather immunity, and genuine modular ergonomics can be delivered to every American hunter, regardless of what is left in their bank account after the lease, the ammunition, and the fuel. The old gatekeepers are still out there. They still have their walnut grades and their hand-lapped actions and their 4-digit price tags. And they are welcome to keep them, because the hunters watching this video already know what the data says. If you are still carrying a $2,000 import into the same whitetail timber where a $600 Ruger shoots 3/4-inch groups and laughs at that is not a precision decision. That is an ego decision. Subscribe, because next season the rifles getting better are not the expensive ones.